Happening now, New York State has released what businesses are included in Phase 3 reopening, what we know next. Plus, Chautauqua County Executive P.J. Wendell joins us live to talk about the continued reopening and the call for social change following the George Floyd killing.
Well, we've got lots of sunshine out there today, and the humidity is way up there along with the heat, and that'll continue tomorrow with some thunderstorms in the afternoon. We'll talk about it next. The News at Noon starts now.
Live and on demand, this is WNY News Now.
And thanks for joining us for WNY News Now. I'm Justin Gould. New York State has released what business types are listed under Phase 3 of reopening. According to forward.ny.gov, personal care services like tattoo and piercing and massage parlors, along with nail and additional beauty services, will soon be given the green light to open up. Furthermore, the state says restaurants will be able to operate indoor seating under Phase 3. Before businesses can reopen, however, the state requires them to fill out a written safety plan for customers and employees. Businesses looking to check their eligibility for Phase 3 reopening are asked to use the state's reopening tool. Western New York could be eligible for Phase 3 reopening as soon as next week. Well, the City of Jamestown's mayor's office is seeking prospective members of the city's newly reinstated Human Rights Commission. Mayor Eddie Sundquist first announced that he would bring back the commission last week. His office is now looking for community leaders to join the group. Sundquist says he is taking into consideration the various religious, racial, nationality, and political groups that make up the city here in Jamestown. In total, the commission will feature 12 citizen members appointed by the mayor and then confirmed by the city council. Members would serve a 3-year term.
The city has, as part of its structure, a human right commission whose sole goal is help to foster better relations, both religious and racial, in our community, as well as to just help the city redevelop policies to make our city more inclusive.
Residents interested in joining the commission are encouraged to apply online at jamestowny.gov/boards. Well, George Floyd will be laid to rest today in a private cemetery in Houston. This follows a day where thousands paid their respects to the 46-year-old who was killed while in police custody. Daryl Forges reports from Houston with the latest.
Yesterday, people came out in droves to pay respects to George Floyd. Now for today, the focus shifts to Floyd's family as they say their final goodbyes.
I want to thank everybody who came out to see my brother and cheer him on to victory for his last lap.
Thousands of people came to the Fountain of Praise Church in Houston Monday to pay their respects to George Floyd. Dignitaries at the viewing included former Vice President Joe Biden, who met with members of Floyd's family.
The family is extremely grateful to Vice President Biden and Dr. Jill Biden, who was also there, and really reached out to this family.
And Texas Governor Greg Abbott, who said Floyd's death was the most horrific tragedy he has ever observed.
George Floyd is going to change the arc of the future of the United States.
Video of Floyd's death 2 weeks ago in Minneapolis has sparked protests in cities across the United States and around the world, and calls for police reform. On Capitol Hill Monday, Democratic lawmakers said the nationwide cry for action has helped to push forward a policing reform bill.
With the Justice and Policing Act, the Congress is standing with those fighting for justice and taking action.
Floyd's brother Philanese is expected to testify before Congress about the issue. And Reverend Al Sharpton will be giving the eulogy at George Floyd's funeral. Now, after the funeral, George Floyd will be buried next to his mother. In Houston, Texas, I'm Daryl Forges.
All right, Daryl, thank you. Here in New York, state lawmakers passed a major policing reform legislative package yesterday. That package includes bills like the Eric Gardner Anti-Choke Act, which passed in the New York State Senate. It characterizes police chokeholds as an aggravated strangulation and classifies that now as a Class C felony. The bill will now head to Governor Andrew Cuomo, where he is likely to sign it. Well, the Jamestown Board of Education appointed a new superintendent of schools during a Board of Education meeting held via Zoom last night. The board unanimously appointed Dr. Kevin Whitaker, who will be replacing retiring Superintendent Dr. Bradthorpe. Dr. Whitaker joins Jamestown Public Schools after a nearly 30-year career in education. He acknowledges that there are several challenges coming in the door. However, he says the best way to get through financial troubles within the district is by putting students first. He also plans to work with the outgoing superintendent to help in the COVID-19 recovery process.
He's another one of the resources that he's very graciously offered to help me out with that process. And I would be glad to work with him, and I'm glad that he's able to provide that sort of assistance as I make this transition.
The school's 2021 budget includes several cuts to programming, including the elimination of the district's Success Academy. School officials say Whitaker will officially assume his superintendent duties in Jamestown on July 1st. Well, one of the area's largest mobile phone retailers has reopened to in-person customers after working remotely during the COVID-19 pandemic. Andy Swanson, owner of Phone Zone in Jamestown, says that when the New York on pause first took effect, he closed his doors but remained operational as an essential telecommunications service. Swanson says he was busy throughout the pandemic helping customers over the phone, and now that Phone Zone is back open with several safety measures in place, Swanson says he's happy to see customers in person again, though he wishes he could see their smiling faces a little better.
It is a little bit more difficult not being able to see people's facial expressions. You can tell when people are smiling, otherwise, if worse comes to worst, I tell people, take a few steps back and give me a quick show real quick. Yeah, I think we should get some clear masks. If we got to wear them, it would be a lot nicer if they were clear.
Phone Zone offers 5 different prepaid services, including Boost Mobile, Verizon Prepaid, AT&T Prepaid, Page Plus, and H2O Prepaid. Now, additionally, they offer premier cell phone repair and custom cases too. Swanson says that shopping local has always been important. However, throughout the COVID-19 pandemic, supporting local businesses has proved to be essential. Well, we thank you for joining us here on WNY News Now on this Tuesday. Great to have you along. Got to say hello to Mary. Good to see you on the broadcast. Thanks for being here. Good to see Justin. Good to see Heather. Good to see Joanna. Always happy to have you here. Good to see David, Rosie, Pam, Samantha, John, and Joseph as well. Hopefully everyone is having a good day and enjoying what sunshine we have out there. Let's now get a check of our First Defense weather forecast with Chief Forecaster Dakota Hunter. And Dakota, your forecast today certainly, and really this week, is one to impress because it's absolutely beautiful, looking like summer.
Yeah, it is. It's looking like summer, and it's going to be feeling like summer, especially today and tomorrow. Here's a live look coming from the Mill Creek Mall in Erie. The temperature up to 84 degrees there at this camera site already, but the dew point temperature still relatively low, but that's going to be creeping up as we go through the afternoon. Right now across the area, we got a pair of 7s at the Jamestown Airport as of noon hour, 82 in Dunkirk, 83 over in Olean, officially at Erie, officially at the airport there, also 77 over in Olean. But that's not the bigger deal. It's the dew point temperatures. The dew point is starting to creep up already, and we already have a dew point of 65 already in Dunkirk, 55 in Jamestown, 56 in Erie. So that's going to be creeping up through the afternoon. And when you compare it to where we were at this hour yesterday, it is substantially warmer compared to where we were at noon hour yesterday. 11 degrees warmer in Jamestown, 13 degrees warmer in Dunkirk, and also in Olean. So the temperatures are going to continue to go up from here, and it's going to be relatively warm today, close to a record breaker, but I don't think we're going to break the record. Again, dew point, it is the moisture, basically it's the moisture in the air. The closer the dew point and the air temperature get, the more humid it is and the more sticky you're going to be feeling out there today. So through the afternoon, just more sun, more heat. In the words of Post Malone, talk saucy. And it's near tropical humidity, especially later this afternoon. Look at these highs, 81 at the immediate Lake Erie waterfront, which you get right to the waterfront, spiking to 92, while inland with a light variable wind, but storms fire tomorrow with a cold front, and much more refreshing air is on the way. We'll talk about it in a few. Justin?
All right, Dakota, thank you very much. Coming up next, Chautauqua County Executive PJ Wendell joins us live to talk about the continued COVID-19 reopening efforts here locally and the local response following George Floyd's death and subsequent protests here in Chautauqua County. Stay with us as WNY News Now continues.
With coverage that matters, this is WNY News Now.
EagleZip.com is your local one-stop shop for all of your home and business computer needs. Located on Fluvan Avenue Extension, just outside of Jamestown, EagleZip.com sells and services all brands of desktops and laptops, as well as servers and network equipment for your business. All new computer sales include transferring your data from your old computer plus a 2-year warranty. Call EagleZip.com today.
Stop by EagleZip.com today and let us make computers easy for you. When you're on the go, stay in the know by downloading the WNY News Now mobile app. Stay up to date on local news, weather, and sports that matter to you. Plus, subscribe to breaking news and weather alerts from the team that puts coverage first. In addition, watch news as it happens with the Southern Tier's only 24/7 streaming network. Download the WNY News Now app right now. It's free on the Apple App Store and Google Play Store.
You're watching WNY News Now, where coverage comes first.
And welcome back to WNY News Now. Just today, New York State announced the guidelines for businesses who will be part of Phase 3 reopening. Joining us to talk more about that reopening process and other topics at the forefront here in Chautauqua County is Executive P.J. Wendell. Sir, great to have you. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Justin.
So how early can we expect Western New York to reach Phase 3?
Well, as it looks right now, we should be able to reopen in Phase 3 next Tuesday, a week from today. Metrics are being looked at every day, and we are well within our the numbers for moving forward. So, again, barring any sudden change or spike or something we unforeseen, we should be moving there. What's important too, I think, when you look at the guidance coming out already, and ESD has put out guidance, the state has put out guidance, as you guys have posted. I think that's a very optimistic sign that the state is looking to move forward. In previous phases, those guidances came out relatively quick to the opening, in some cases within 24 hours of the opening. So I think this is a good sign that we're ready to move forward, and we understand the significance of opening these businesses.
Do you think that the reason why state officials have decided to give a week before many regions are able to move into that phase is because there was a little bit of confusion leading up to Phase 2, where a lot of businesses would log on and it would say absolutely nothing, and they didn't have too much time to prepare? Do you think that confusion and the hands raised of many say, hey, we need more guidance ahead of time?
Certainly. I know one of those are the topics of discussion in our control room, and it goes to show that, what's happening in the control room, the questions that are asked, the voices being raised, do get back to Albany. John Majori has been our contact in the governor's office. Lieutenant Governor Hochul's been doing a great job of leading our Western New York group. So it's very evident that the voices that are being raised and questions raised are being answered. So I think it's a good move on the governor's part Empire State Development in the state to get this guidance out quickly so our businesses can prepare.
Now, several businesses are already reopening. Last week, we learned that restaurants were given the green light to start outside dining. According to the information that was released today, many of them could, under Phase 3, do some sort of inside dining. Have we learned any more about what that would look like, or is that still something that we're waiting on hearing from leaders in Albany?
I have not seen a definitive number of like an occupancy limit. Is it 25%? Is it 50%? I have not seen that yet, so that'll be interesting information when it comes out. I haven't dug into the guidance, although I saw it did come out today. So those numbers, once they're out, again, I'm assuming that they will come out in a timely fashion so businesses can prepare and make adjustments to their restaurants, whether it's taping off or moving tables, et cetera, out of the way. So we'll have to wait and see. But I feel confident now with the early guidance that it won't be too long before those numbers and that occupancy limit is set.
As for those who are open now, what kind of feedback have you received from those businesses? Especially, I imagine some of them are trying to work with creating environments that are conscious of social distancing. Is there any wins that we've heard of that things have worked well, and maybe others who say, I'm concerned with this aspect? What are we hearing?
I haven't heard anything yet. I know the businesses that have opened are very appreciative. I know some of them are apologetic. We went to a local group therapy in Lakewood, and they were all apologetic that they had a limited menu, but nonetheless, they were open and the food was fabulous. So was, the service. Social distancing was there. I was, looked around and saw the tables, and, the residents were wearing masks coming in. If they had to go inside, use the restroom, come out, they had masks on. So I believe that, that one instance, and I haven't heard any issues or concerns. And being said, I haven't seen anything come across the pause task force website. We do get the sheriff and I get those pause requests and concerns from residents. So I haven't seen anything in direct correlation to businesses or restaurants in numerous numbers, one or two occasionally. And it seems to be good. The businesses are happy. People are adapting, and the encouragement from not only the state, but I know Lieutenant Governor Hochul said, asking villages and towns, cities to be more lenient with their zoning code so that they could get businesses outdoor seating that may not have it now. So they're very promising, and the flexibility of the state, even with the state liquor authority, making adjustments and being flexible too with their permits and their licensing. So I feel confident that the state has been doing a good job to help businesses open, and we're going to continue to push that and encourage them to open as much as possible. But again, safety and the guidelines are really important as we do that.
And here in Jamestown, we've had local officials discuss. I know last night at the city council meeting, they talked about adding some new provisions in for food trucks and for those restaurants who are physically in areas like, say, downtown where they don't have access to maybe a back porch or something like that, where they would be able to have some sort of seating. And in addition to not just the civil and business reopening here, but I think government, too, is trying to figure out what's next for them. Last week, you called on Governor Cuomo to release federal funds they've received to be distributed to local municipalities across the state. Was there anything new since the call on Friday? And how crucial really is this funding to our budget here?
Well, I think the funding is crucial. What people have to remember is that when I came into office, this was one of the concerns. The biggest concern was Medicaid and our reimbursement, and a funding called FMAP, and that's federal money, for Medicaid that was, to come back to us. Surprisingly enough, the issue that was made, or the statement that was made from a NISAC conference call on Thursday was, the governor said he didn't know the counties needed this money. Our silence was speaking volumes. Well, we're not silent. I was very open and very vocal at our control room, and was echoed by the counties that are in our control room that they have the same feeling and belief. Another piece of funding that's out there is a tribal compact. That's monies that was due from the state, not the casinos, but from the state. That was monies we asked for last year, and we're still seeking those monies again. So, we are making these requests to the state, asking for funding, because as we know, all of our budgets are being hit with the loss of sales tax revenue. We got the information today in my finance team meeting that the reduction of sales tax from this time last year was 33%. Now, having said that, the month before was 36%. So we have seen a 3% increase. So looking positively that we're seeing the economy start to pick up and that sales tax receipts start to increase. So it's a good sign that our economy is moving, and we're hopeful that it's going to continue. My belief is when we hit August, you'll start to see those numbers come up dramatically. And we talked today, not so much a bell curve, but more of a U curve when it comes to our economy coming back.
Has the governor responded to your call for that federal aid, or have you heard anything?
I haven't heard anything. I know we have some guidance. So the legislature is putting together a resolution that'll be coming forward in June that will ask the same monies from the governor in a formal resolution. So again, very confident that our voices are heard. I know Lieutenant Governor was very, understood my concern, and everybody. I mean, the 5 county leaders expressed that concern. So that our voices are being heard. Now we'll wait for the response. So again, we're going to keep moving. These are things that we need to have for our economies and for our budgets.
All right, I wanted to shift gears here a little bit. Jamestown Mayor Eddie Sundquist announced last week that he plans to and will be reinstating the Civil Human Rights Commission here. For you, in regards to the protests that we've seen and really the community coming together following the death of George Floyd, what are you open to establishing something similar at the county level, or is that something that you would leave to local areas?
Well, we're going to leave it right now to the local areas. It's something that I'm going to be watching, and I feel that a larger group encompassing. But what we're looking at is, in this case, we have the Jamestown City Council and the Jamestown Police Department. Likewise, the municipalities that employ their own police force. That's a dialogue they need to have with them. We don't oversee the local village and town police departments. With the sheriff's department, he and I have been in dialogue, and we're going to sit down and look at that. But looking at a more, open form of, again, whether we call it a civil rights commission or, human rights, we're going to look at that as we move forward. And as the cities, start to form these and, an overview from the county, would be something we're moving forward to. Yeah, but not putting anything aside, but that group would be much broader. And we have, several communities from all over, Chautauqua County that it's to be very broad. We know there's a very diverse population in the county. So getting the right people together, getting those leaders to sit down at the table, I think is something we're all going to do as we move forward.
How big of a significance has it been to see residents here in the county stand up for what they believe in? There was several protests over the weekend, and all of them remained peaceful. We've seen dialogue between, as you mentioned, Sheriff Quattrone, who attended a protest 2 weeks now, standing with community members, answering their questions one-on-one. How big of a significance have we seen that with all that's going on here nationwide?
Well, I think it's one of the things I've said before, and I've had faith in the community members and the residents of Chautauqua County that as much frustration, even anger they may have, they do this in a sensible way to sit down and ask the tough questions, look at one another and be in that, that open dialogue. One of the things I've done before is I'm actually part of a group, UNESCO, the United Nations Educational, Scientific, and Cultural Organization. So I have been on cultural tours through Mexico and other countries, not only as an athlete, but as an ambassador for, diversity. So we get together and we sit down at these, whether it's an event, a sporting event, and my event in Mexico was, a nationwide event. And, we understood the diversity of a country of Mexico. But having said that, that open dialogue is important. And it's been said, peace begets peace. And if people want to sit down and discuss it, those are hard questions, uncomfortable times, as people have said. But the ability to sit down and have understanding dialogue, I think, is crucial. And that's what's happened. People may be angered, they may be frustrated, but they're doing it in a way that promotes, education, it promotes openness, and it promotes change. I think that's really the key to the residents here of Chautauqua County. They are open, they are listening to one another, and they are having those tough conversations. And it's going to continue.
All right. And finally, Chautauqua County Executive Wendell, is there any other information that you'd like the community to be aware of with all that's going on with the social and health issues that continues to really transform the way we live?
I think what people have to realize is respect. It's a very small word, very simple word, but yet it's a word that really resonates. And I think whether it's respecting those who wear a mask and those who choose not, or those who are unable to wear the mask, and much like the respecting the rights and the expressions of others. I think that's the biggest piece. If we want to have discussion, we have to respect one another. We know we're not always going to agree. We know we're not always going to have the same viewpoints. But that open dialogue and that discussion is really critical. Whether it was, the decision to wear masks or the decision to socially distance and close down our economy were very challenging decisions. But they were done so with discussion, with the evidence that's there, and we made difficult decisions, much like what's happening now. I think it's hard for community leaders right now. Elected officials throughout New York State and throughout the nation are facing challenging times. But these individuals are the ones the leaders of the community They're the ones who our community look to for guidance and for resound. So I feel confident that, the understanding and the abilities of our local, village, town, and the county, city governments will all take the time to sit down and listen to one another. That's the important thing, is listening. We can't have dialogue if we're not willing to listen and share.
And certainly, I attended the two protests in Jamestown the previous weekend and this past weekend, and that's what we saw. Was sure people were angry, and rightfully so when you look at the video, but at the same time, we're not turning to violence here in Chautauqua County. We're talking to each other. We have our police chief and our sheriff coming down and taking questions that you haven't seen in other places where they wouldn't step a foot within the protest, and you see that here, and I think it goes back to the sense of community that we talk about all the time on this program, is the fact that everyone, no matter what town, village, color, ethnicity you come from, here in Chautauqua County we're united, and it's great to see. It really is.
Without a doubt. And I think it echoes back to, CH strong. We are all together in this. We come from various backgrounds, various diversities, various situations, upbringings, philosophies, but we come together with respect and we come together with mutual understanding. And again, may not always disagree. And I think that's what's important to realize, is that, we're not coming and no one's trying to change anybody else's understanding. We're not trying to change anybody else's philosophy or their mind. But we're just asking to understand one another and get that dialogue open. I think that's critical, but it says a lot. And I've said it, from the very beginning. We here in Chautauqua County have been a model community for how to do things right, how to bring people to the table and get things done effectively that are to promote change and understanding moving forward.
All right, yeah, absolutely. Chautauqua County Executive P.J. Wendell joining us today. Sir, thank you for your time.
Thank you so much, Justin.
Now let's get a check of our weather forecast with Dakota.
Well, it's hot once again today, or should I say it's hot today. Again, the record high for today is 93, set back in 1933, excuse me. And we're forecasting 87 today. So I don't think we're going to break this record. I think it's going to be safe for another year. But it's basically the same thing that we told you yesterday. Hitting 90 in the city is very hard, and it gets very iffy. So we're shying away from that 90 for now. But we'll see as we go later on down the road into the summer. Muggy meter, it's way up into that muggy category today. Now this is for later this afternoon. The humidity is not bad right now, but it's going to be soaring as we go through the afternoon, and it goes all the way up into this oppressive level tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to have basically tropical humidity sitting right over the area. That's like throwing a wet sponge against a wall. That's that kind of humidity, but watch where it goes on Thursday. Down the scale back into that pleasant category as we shove that cold front through the area tomorrow. That'll usher in the much cooler air. But speaking about tomorrow, we do have, well, first of all, the zone forecast, inland areas, we're back to the hot stuff once again today. Temperatures into the upper 80s, maybe a few lower 90s possible. Cooler lakeside, though. It's not going to be until you get right at the immediate lakeshore areas. That's where you'll see the difference. Possibly temperatures there, lower 80s, upper 70s, but most everybody else, look at Erie at 92 degrees, just a hot day today. Now talking about tomorrow, the Storm Prediction Center maintains this slight risk across all of western New York and northwestern Pennsylvania. That's a level 2 out of 5 for tomorrow afternoon. We're going to have near basically tropical humidity tomorrow, so scattered afternoon showers and thunderstorms are going to be popping up through the afternoon and evening hours. Some of them could contain gusty winds. Look at this weather. The time is moving, but the weather ain't changing today. It's going to be fantastic. Now, as we get into early tomorrow, there will be a chance for a couple showers, maybe a couple rumbles of thunder early tomorrow. But again, the radar is not going to look exactly like this come tomorrow. I think the activity is going to be a little bit more widespread than what's being depicted here. But again, there would be the chance for these pop-up showers and storms in the afternoon. Some of them could contain strong winds and large hail, and also some heavy rainfall as well. Notice this is what's left of Cristobal right here. This is moving up into the upper Great Lakes region, possibly bringing some flooding up there. But it is hot weather out here. This is what's called the Ring of Fire. This is an actual weather term. There's a big upper ridge that's set up across the middle of the country, so the showers and storms are flaring along with that ridge, and that means hot and humid weather. Hey, Lakeshore, if you want to get on the lake, get out on the water. With the north northwest wind 3 to 6 knots, wave heights a foot or less, 61 and 64 Lake Erie water temperatures. Next 7 days of your life coming up, 86 tomorrow, just saucy and humid, 74 Thursday, lots of sunshine, we cool it down. Some relief comes our way by the end of the week into the weekend with just a scattered shower chance on Friday. And then the weekend, the second half of the weekend, dry and also into early next week, but we return back into the lower 70s by next Monday. News continues 24/7 at WNYNewsNow.com and also on the mobile app. It is free for iPhone and Android. We'll see you right back here tomorrow afternoon at noon. Have a good day.